Good afternoon. My name is Gail Rasmussen. Hi out there, Oregon. I'm an ESP, and I am an educator. Thank you, Laura, for the introduction. And I also want to thank you for being a great leader for NCESP. We are proud of you. I'd like to also add my congratulations to Jamil Williams for being the 2011 ESP of the Year. I know that he will be an outstanding ambassador for us. So though Laura gave a little bit of my background, I'd just like to share a little bit more. As she said, I was born and raised in Kentucky. I'm the only daughter that my parents had. They had another 12 children between them, but I am the only and the oldest. So a lot of my actions come from being from a blended family and also being the big sister. Growing up, my siblings and I were proud products of our public schools. And throughout my life, schools have continued to be a place that is near and dear to my heart. When I moved to Oregon in 1970, having met and married a native Oregonian, while I was living in Germany with my father, who was a military man, I spent those early years as a young wife working on school levies. Some of you remember doing that stuff. Being a part of the PTA, even though I had no children in school, and being a community activist. And like many of you, my path toward working in public schools took twists and turns as I navigated trying to figure out what it was that I was called to do. I worked several jobs, including retail management, but the corporate world was not my world. And as I watched my children grow, I knew that I needed to do my part to make a difference in the lives of students and not just my kids. I needed to work in education. I needed to be an educator. I still need to be an educator. There's really just no other options for me. You know, some of us come upon this work by accident. Some of us may take years to navigate our way into public schools. And some of us, the lucky ones, know right from the start where we're supposed to be. But ultimately, for all of us, this is not just a job. It's not just a paycheck. This is passion. This is a calling. It's who we are. It's a part of how we define ourselves. So my story is not unlike many of yours. In the small community of Eagle Point in Southern Oregon, I wear many hats. I've held just about every support job in the school district, as Laura said. And now, I truly am proud to stand before you as the first education support professional to serve as the president of the Oregon Education Association. I am always proud and honored to say, hello, I'm Gail. I'm the president of the Oregon Education Association, and it's not a title that I take lightly. I recognize every day how many voices I represent. 45,433 to be exact. But beyond representing those voices from every walk of life, I am honored for this title because I believe and I hope it means that tides are changing for education support professionals like you and me. In every role I've had working with and advocating for public schools, I've always thought of myself as an educator. And so should you. Now, there are those who separate us from our teacher colleagues and who classify us as just the bus driver, just the instructional assistant. We even do it sometimes when we're talking about ourselves. But you know, saying we're just a this or just a that, it makes it sound as though our job classification is less important in the school community, and nothing, my friends, is farther from the truth. This is a platitude you've no doubt heard before, but it's one that I love. The doors of public schools open and close with an ESP. We're the reason our students are transported safely to and from school every day. We're the reason they stay nourished throughout the day. And we're that extra support in the classroom that can make all the difference for a special needs student. So whether we work in the cafeteria, in the main office, whether our job is to keep the classrooms clean or to provide direct assistance to students, we are all educators. Our interactions and connections with students do inform the kinds of adults that they will become. Our visible dedication in our jobs and the fact that we put in an honest day's work provide an important example for young folk. We help to shape their lives. And because of that, we're absolutely essential and an integral part of the school community. Our schools would not exist without us. So I'll say again, my name is Gail, and I'm a proud educator. Sounds a little bit like an AA meeting. Sometimes it certainly feels that way too, doesn't it? There are days when we're sitting around a room, drinking way too much coffee, sharing our personal stories and supporting each other through hard times, kind of like today. For those of you who know someone or have had a loved one who's in recovery, you may be familiar with what is called the Serenity Prayer. And it starts off like this: God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. You know, we could apply this serenity prayer to the seemingly insurmountable challenges we as educators and public employees face today. So let's see if the words work. First, the serenity to accept the changes, the things I cannot change. This, I must admit, is extremely hard for me personally. How could there possibly be something or someone that I can't change? You know, over and over we're told that just one educator can be the difference in whether a student graduates or drops out of school. Changing people, helping them to grow, to realize their potential, is at the heart of what we do. But no matter how hard we try, we can't change the minds of those who seek to privatize education and outsource our jobs. We can't change the fact that outside corporations are rolling in money and doing their very best to keep it that way, which is why they're fighting so hard to demonize those of us working on the front lines of public schools. They don't want people to pay attention to the man behind the curtain, for those Wizard of Oz fans out there. Our detractors have endless supply of smoke and mirrors and a bottomless war chest that they're using to try to turn the public against us. We can't change that, and we can't change the fact that bad behaving CEOs and Wall Street corruption brought this nation to its knees and is slowly destroying the middle class. And we can't do anything about stopping the money flowing from these same bad behaving CEOs to the politicians who are on a mission to silence our voice and balance this economic crisis on our backs. But does that mean we give up? Does that mean that we throw up our hands and throw in the towel? Well, I'm here to tell you we're not waving a white flag and we're not going to be victims. No, we will not give up. We will not surrender our jobs. We won't stand by and watch our jobs being contracted out. Our schools are communities, not factories vying for the lowest bid. We are part of that community. You know that 77% of all K-12 ESPs live in the communities in which they work. We contribute to our local school districts, our towns, our cities, our local economies in important ways beyond just the job we work during the day or during the night, as the case may be. We need to make it known outsourcing our jobs won't just hurt our own families, but it will hurt the fabric of the community. And that is a risk that no school district should want to take. And while we will not surrender our hard-fought right to sit down and bargain with our employers for fair wages and benefits that keep our families healthy and puts foods on the table, our voices will not be silenced. Every state house across this country should be aware that our voices will not be silenced. We won't give up on the truth that a quality public education for all students is the very foundation that makes our country great. Now, this is where courage comes in to make a difference. This is quite a fight we've got on our hands, won't you agree? It's unlike anything most of us have ever seen while working in public schools. And it is a fight on all fronts, in every state, in every district, in every school building and work site. And some days, I have to admit, it feels like a losing battle. But let's be clear. Let's be absolutely clear. Without you and engaging hundreds of thousands of our fellow educators, this fight will be over before it begins. It takes all of us, and we cannot let that happen. We won't let that happen. And there are endless examples, which we have heard throughout this weekend, that proves we're not letting it happen. In my travels, both in school buildings, in union halls, I've come across some truly, truly amazing individuals. People I call heroes and sheroes. And I'd like to take a moment just to tell you a little about them. Our capital city, Salem, Oregon, is the home of OEA's largest ESP local, Ask ESP, the Association of Salem Kaiser Educational Support Professionals. A large number of members in Ask ESP are bus drivers. I have a good friend down there, Lois Stark, and she told me this story, and it nearly broke my heart to hear it. Not surprisingly, the economic crisis has hit the Salem ESP members very hard. We have ESP members from Salem, as you just heard, who can verify what I'm about to tell you. Everyone's taking home less money. They're paying more for their health insurance, their retirement benefits. The school district has cut days off of the year to save money. It's not an unfamiliar story. I've heard this from others of you around the country. But what the public does not appreciate or even understand is that ESPs are hourly employees. When the media or our opponents talk about how we've got these fat salaries and these bloated benefit packets, I look around and ask, who the heck are they talking about? They really don't have an idea. They don't have an idea. In fact, we have folks who are paying the school district so that they might have health insurance. Many of us work just for that particular benefit. And they make so little in income that becomes a wash as to money in their pockets. Every day counts. Every minute counts. Every hour counts. And those cut days mean that for far too many of our colleagues are forced to choose between paying rent or buying food. It's that simple. So at the Salem Bus Barn, during the holidays, they put out baskets to collect canned goods. But it's not for the local food bank. It's for each other. And then right down the road in Albany, the school district has shaved 30 minutes off of every school day. Now that may not seem like a big deal in the community, and it may even appear to be a creative solution to the budget challenge, but for our Albany ESPs, that's 2.5 hours a week lost. And if you're a 6-hour-a-day employee, that creative solution is devastating. And as a result, the Albany president reported that her members are facing foreclosures, and some of them are even moving back home with parents. You know, members are not just picking up a second job. We did that last year, but they're now working 3 jobs just to make ends meet. But there's hope. There's hope. Around the Pacific region, where I live, I've continued to be amazed and inspired by the work of members who are engaged in living wage campaigns in their local associations. Yeah, Pacific region, give yourselves a hand. From Oregon to Washington to Nevada to California, these efforts are spearheaded by our members. Some of you have heard some of their stories, and if you haven't, I would encourage you to find somebody from Oregon, Washington, Nevada, California, Montana that have been involved. Thank you. And they can tell you what they have done in these efforts. But these campaigns are modeled on perseverance, solidarity, unity, and hope. And make no mistake about it, it's in the bus barn in Salem. It's in the hallways and the classrooms in Albany. And it's right here in this room as well. We are not alone. We have each other. And in recognizing that we're not alone, we need to celebrate and lift up our family of ESPs. We need to band together to support one another in these very difficult times. We need to tell our stories and to raise our voices. We need to storm the halls of our state capitals and ask those folks, with all of your emphasis on creating jobs in the private sector, where is your commitment to protecting jobs in our public schools? You need to ask that question. And we need to take to the streets and demand justice and fairness. We need to fight for ourselves, fight for each other, and fight for the future of public schools. Now, on Monday, most of us will head back to our school districts and resume our day-to-day functions. And I always know it's a good conference when I leave feeling refreshed, renewed, reinvigorated to do the job I do. And I certainly hope that you feel that way as well. Staying positive about the importance of our work is absolutely essential as we lift up our public schools and our students, and as we lift up each other in our profession. And I want you to remember that you are the heart of public education. You are the angels that surround our students. And when things get you down, remember these words. When you walk through a storm, hold your head up high and don't be afraid of the dark. At the end of the storm, there's a golden light and the sweet silver song of a lark. Walk on, ESPs, with hope in your heart, because you'll never, never, ever walk alone. You will always have us, this family, to walk along with you. So thank you so much for having me here today. It's truly an honor, and as is my custom, here's to our family. Thank you, ESPs, for all you do.